this tape. We're going to try to just put all the information together because this is becoming even more stranger than I originally thought it would be. I know it was a strange case, but this is the more information come out, the more complex, the more you have to kind of try to dig what's true and what's not. You know, what I'm a little perplexed about the district attorney coming out saying what they said. I'm a little perplexed at the charges, right? Which we're going to go over later in the show. We're going to break down each charge that he's been charged with. But what I'm most concerned about is for 7 months, they couldn't get the grand jury to bring back an indictment, nor did the district attorney file charges. What was stopping them from doing this 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2 months ago, right? Is the big question in my mind. And until the LAPD, ran up in there and asserted themselves, that's when the district attorney came with all these allegations. Now, this is a very serious allegations, right? Because this could be life without or potentially or up to the death penalty. But they don't know for sure, right? And the way they charged him in this case, it's almost as if they hope that it falls in their way, right? They really don't know. They charging him, but they're putting special allegations, meaning they charge him with murder, first degree, but then they put special allegations, meaning if we're able to prove these other allegations, right? So it's kind of like it's 3 charges, but really it's potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 charges, 7, 8 charges potentially can happen here, right? One charge can lead to 3 more charges, depending on what they're able to prove. So welcome to the show, hit the like button. But let's go to first. What is this? I don't want to go there yet. So we're going to go here.
F02399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Bedmarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman for the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity.
And this what makes me wonder about these cases, right? His defense team ain't coming out saying, "Oh, well, we need to look through all the evidence and we just need to have the time to fight this or prepare for this case." They already come in with one side fits all. We're prepared to prove with all the evidence, meaning they've seen all the evidence that that's been presented, and they see that the evidence points to something else. But the district attorney is coming out as if they have a guilty verdict, pretty much, right? So I'm wondering, how can two sides have look at this one evidence and get two vantage points, right? And I'm a little apprehensive on the district attorney side because it's a lot more pressure, right? A lot of pressure on this, people putting on this case because, little girl, 14 years old, comes up mutilated, destroyed pretty much, and they want somebody to pay for it. And a lot of times they go above and beyond. Now, this is a very, 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 in my opinion, this case is more complicated than what they're making it appear to be, right? But let's look at it. Let's take a break down. So we have a 14-year-old girl. Now, I want to know is how in the earth does a 14-year-old girl be able to move around like she did to go to somebody's house? So she's from Riverside area. If you're not from California, that area will be the east. It's like about bus time, Uber time about hour 10, hour 20 minutes, depending on traffic. Bus time about 3-4 hours, 5 hours to get there. So it is very far. It's east is to the west. Los Angeles is west by the beach, and Riverside is east of Los Angeles. And the Hollywood Hills is as west as you can get, right? So this 14-year-old girl ran away from home on multiple times and made her way all the way to his home in the Hollywood Hills. What type of power does this little 14-year-old girl have to leave her house and make it to that house? So that's a 2-hour and 20-minute Uber Lyft drive, right? So I don't know what kind of parenting they was doing, that their kid to just get up in the middle of the night and leave out the house undetected. And then, she makes it into this guy's house, and she's there for days at a time. Did not the parents call the police and say, let's go over there and get our daughter? You're not, no. If my daughter did something like that, and I knew where she was at, or she's over this singer's house, I'm going over there and I'm calling the police so I can, get a legal entry. And I'm telling my daughter's in there and she needs to come home now. Now, I don't care if I have to go over there once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week. I will do that. And I will ask for a restraining order on this guy if my daughter comes over and he does not contact authorities and us to let us know that our daughter has ran away back over there. I would want him to be charged with aiding and abetting. So there's no way I'm going to let my daughter just run away from home, disappear, and I know where she's at, and I'm not going to do anything about it. That, to me, I don't know what kind of parent she got, but that's weird, right? So that's what's weird about this case. A 14-year-old girl ran away from home. She's at this guy's house. Her parents know about it, and they allow her to stay over there. Okay. So she goes back home. Then she goes again. Now, they saying she was deleted on April 23rd. That's speculation. How do you come up with that date? Right? She could have been kidnapped, tortured for a few days. Then they did that. Nobody really knows, right? And I don't like when people make these or come out, particularly the district attorney, come out with these broad speculations. Oh, I'm not going to speculate, but then they speculate like a motherfucker. Okay? If it was that clear and concise, they would have had a grand jury indictment overnight, and that nigga would have been arrested months ago. Not 7 months later. So I just don't believe them when they're coming out with these allegations as if they really know all the answers. And if you knew all the answers, then why took you so long? What took you so long? Because you don't know. And you're going to ruin a young man's life. Because let's look at this. Even if he beats this, let's just hypothetical. Even if he beats the case, his life is ruined forever. Because these type of charges, if you're accused of them, it ruins everything about you. Unless you're OJ. OJ is a different story because he was already a made man. You know, he already had things in play. You know, he's retired from football, all that. But this is a young boy, 20 years old. He's done. If he beats this case, he's done. Now, let's get into the relationship that they're saying that he supposedly had with this young girl, right? Now, the question I have for David is, are you that stupid to have a little girl run around there, you're having sex with her underage? Are you really that stupid? When there's plenty of girls you can have your age, 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, run around the whole city of Los Angeles, and you are engaging with a 14-year-old girl publicly, right? She's at your house, everybody sees her. Nigga, are you for real? You know this is America, right? That is not legal. Why would you risk? You did not see what happened to R. Kelly, nigga? Did you not see what happened to R. Kelly? You didn't watch that case? So I'm wondering what you got a 14-year-old girl running around your house. Not even, I'm gonna say, I don't know if he was having sex with her or not. I don't know. Maybe she just thought she was a fan. He thought she was cool. I'm still not letting her run around my motherfucking house. Look, you go home. Look, girl, you got to go home with your parents. If a 14-year-old girl pull up at my house, hey, a fan of mine, I'm calling her parents immediately. Hey, I'm calling the cops too. Look, I know she's a fan, but you can't be at my house like this. This is not a good look. I'm calling your parents. I'm calling the police, and I'm getting a restraining order on you. Now, what I would do for you is give you lifetime tickets to my concerts. Whenever I have a concert, you get free tickets. You can always come with your parents' guidance, parental guidance, come and listen to my music. I'm cool with that. But you're not coming to my personal property. We're not hanging out. We're not doing anything. No, because speculation can become a case. People think, even if we're not having sex, people going to think a little girl and this grown-ass man, they got to be having sex, right? Why is she around him? And that's enough to create, right, fucking, some sort of charges come on me. So no, you can't hang around me. No. Go home to your parents. This is what I'll do for you. I'll send you my album. I will not have no little girl at 14 years old hanging around my fucking house. Just no way. This is the thing about David I don't understand, right? Nigga, you know what country we in. You cannot have little girls running around your fucking house. That's not your sister. That's not your daughter. That's not your kids. You have some strange little girl you don't even know who the fuck. She's just a fan. And I understand it's flattering the fan. Oh, I love you. You're my favorite. All right, take your ass back home. You're not coming to my house. Matter of fact, you're not coming backstage. No. So I don't know what David was thinking in this moment. I don't know, what type of a plan he was conjuring. But in my opinion, this guy's sick. Something, and then he obviously had a plan for her. And this could have been it, right? And I don't know. That's speculation. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying, but where else would you have a 14-year-old little girl around you? knowing that you can go to jail, knowing that something can happen because she's now, the responsibility falls on you because this house is in your name, you're paying the bills. Now, let's move forward. So here's go. So they're saying April 20th, she disappeared. She disappeared. And they didn't know, I guess she went to a trunk, right? Some sort of trunk. And somebody deleted her, chopped her body up, put in a trunk. But she's gone from April 23rd until damn near a year, right? David, you didn't call it, you didn't, or the parents, did nobody file a missing persons report? David, you didn't report your car stolen? This looks kind of bad. Let's go to, let me see. Let's see what we got here. Let's see.
He's 5'5", 125. I know they flipped him to a fleshlight. Bro, when was he booked? He might be a fleshlight as we speak. He's on 77th? Oh, I know he got 1,000 fades lined up, bro. He's been fading since he got there. I know it, bro. Like, he's 5'5", 120.
David murdered Celeste because she was threatening to make their sexual relationship public. That is what the DA is alleging. Let me explain. And Celeste's cause of death was apparently just revealed in court documents where the medical examiner said that this was a homicide and that David took her life with a sharp instrument. So David was formally charged moments ago with first-degree murder with special circumstances, those circumstances being lying in wait and killing for financial gain. He was also charged with continuous sexual acts with an individual under 14 and...
Okay, so let's get into the charges. Okay? Now, the first charge, let me see if I can find this district attorney. He gives a account. I think I looked at it yesterday. Let me see. Because we're gonna let's get into these charges. Let's see. Well, the first charge is, I think, murder in the first degree. All right. So let's break that down. What is first degree murder means is premeditated, right? Murder one is premeditated. That means he thought this through and he had malice and forethought to do these things to this person, right? So that's what first degree murder is, right? That's what entails that. Now, if you break, there's a special circumstances follow behind. So first degree murder starts at 25 to life with the possibility of parole. Okay, that's where it starts at. Special circumstances, meaning attached to this first degree murder, if certain elements are met, like he chopped the body up, stuff like that are met during the trial, he can get, there's the death penalty on there's a death penalty, or life without parole, which, there's no possibility of parole. So that's what that means, right? So though that is on the table, that is attached to the first degree of murder. First degree murder in itself is just the malice and forethought premeditated. The special circumstances, which is a death penalty, and the life without parole, if certain elements are met, right? Certain elements are met throughout the trial that will aggravate special circumstances. So if they prove that he was waiting behind the counter. She came around and he stabbed her. Then he took the time and mutilated her body. That will trigger, if proven, and when sentencing comes, that would trigger the death penalty. Right? And if that, so then it would trigger the death penalty. So these things, so this is what that means, right? So the elements have to be met, right? So he's charged with first degree murder, and the special circumstances are attached to the first degree murder. So if they just prove that he just murdered the girl and nothing else, he gets 25 years of life. But if through the trial, any of the elements that are proved would trigger the death penalty or life without parole, right? And these are triggered. These are special circumstances, meaning they can be triggered. So therefore, he's looking at, in one charge, he's looking at 5 different things that can happen to him, depending on what the prosecution is able to present and prove. Now let's go to the lewd sexual acts. We know what that is, right? He's having sex with this girl, a minor, underage minor. Now that carries, that could be 0 to 5 years, depending, you know what I mean? That's just a charge. And then they charge him with a weapons charge, or some sort of special weapon. I guess the weapon to chop her body up, right? You need a certain special type of weapon. So he could end up with the death penalty in this phase, right? And that's pretty serious. So this is what they're claiming. So let's go back to the video.
Murdering the witness to an investigation. This is all important. The DA said on April 23rd, Celeste went to David's house on his invitation, meaning he lured her to his house, planning to take her life. This was premeditated, hence the first-degree charge. The DA also said that Celeste was a witness to an investigation, and later said that investigation was in regards to their sexual relationship, meaning Celeste was not only a witness, she was directly involved and probably had all of the evidence to prove it. David murdered.
So now, so there's obviously Celeste was talking to somebody. Maybe she was extorting him. I don't know, right? But she was obviously talking to somebody about filing that, saying that, oh, he was having sex with me, a minor. So let's go to the sheriff. Let's hear what the sheriff says.
I want to be clear about something. My duty is not to fuel speculation. It's to deliver justice, and that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part. This investigation was driven by a single purpose: to secure justice for Celeste Rivas and for those who loved her. We had to be certain that nothing we did or said would ever jeopardize this case. Ms. Rivas was a reported runaway from Riverside County. During the course of our investigation, detectives learned that she had been involved in a sexual relationship with Mr. Burke when she was a minor and he was an adult. On April 23, 2025, Ms. Rivas arrived at Mr. Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills. That's the last time she was known to be alive. On September 8, 2025, Ms. Rivas's dismembered and badly decomposed body was discovered in the front trunk of Mr. Burke's impounded Tesla. From that moment forward, our investigators faced an extraordinarily difficult and complex case. The condition of her remains delayed the medical examiner's ability to be able to determine cause of death. The substantial amount of time that passed between her death and the discovery meant that crucial evidence had degraded or disappeared. And as detectives worked to uncover the truth, they also had to sift through and debunk a great deal of false information circulating publicly. These challenges were real, and they required patience, precision, and an unwavering commitment to the facts. Despite these obstacles and despite intense public pressure, our Robbery Homicide Division detectives remained steadfast in their duties. They recovered and analyzed a substantial amount of digital and forensic evidence. They stayed focused, disciplined, and committed to uncovering the truth. Their work, in close collaboration with the District Attorney's Office, has brought us to this moment today.
Why has it taken so long for an arrest to be made?
I think the police chief got it right, that in a situation where you don't have an eyewitness account, or we can't put
And that's the part what kind of is I would say, contradicting, right? They're saying, oh, yeah, he lied in wait. He waited for her, but then he says they had no witness testimony. Only way you're gonna know somebody lying in wait for somebody had to tell you or have some sort of information that, hey, he was waiting for her. He told me, or I seen him, something, right? So maybe somebody started talking like the last 3 weeks. I'm not sure, right? Maybe somebody came in and said, hey, I'm ready to tell you everything I know. So forensic evidence and digital evidence is just the body, the 2 bags that are found in the car. That's the physical evidence. The digital evidence, digital would be, I guess, the pictures the coroner took during the medical examination. That is just, the autopsy pictures that they're going to show during trial, where they're going to show why they came to the conclusion that this was a homicide. So that's pretty much how that goes. And so that's why they didn't wait. That's why they waited 7 months to charge, because they didn't have a eyewitness to corroborate the physical evidence. See, in these cases, you can have a mountain of circumstantial evidence, but if you do not have DNA, his DNA or fingerprints or something on her or on that body, you then need an eyewitness to corroborate this circumstantial evidence. Good morning, Rolando Dog. How you doing, sir? They are quick to judge. I think he may know who unalived her. I think he may know who did it. How do they know David did it? Salute, Ruthless. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if he did it. Yeah, this is a very complex case. I don't think one person should be arrested. I think this is a conspiracy. I believe there are multiple people involved in this. But this is I guess the faultiness of the justice system, right? They want the easy target. David is an easy target. We've seen in the Young Thug case, we've seen in the Diddy case, right? That a lot of times these law enforcement, they take this shit personal. And if they got one guy on their mind, they become less effective at investigating properly. And let me give you all a better example, right? The OJ case is a number. I said this, and I watched the whole OJ case from start to finish, and I rewinded it, right? If they would have prosecuted OJ the right way, they would have got that case right. But they prosecuted wrong because they put this picture in their mind that OJ, no way, nobody else can do this but OJ, right? So they then started planting evidence, manipulating witnesses, right? Making them lie on the stand, because they try to make this case fit OJ, right? But really, it was a conspiracy. There were some other people that was involved in it. Now, have they tried to add OJ case as a conspiracy? Then they would have did a better job of investigating it. But because they just went after OJ, in their minds, OJ did this, make it fit. And the district attorney, the head district attorney is yelling on the phone, I don't care. Make this case fit. Even if it says there are different people involved, we don't care. We just want OJ. And this is the problem with prosecution, right? They get personal and they go after one person and they don't, I would say they ignore the possibility of a conspiracy. Or even if they do know somebody that did something, right? They cut the guy's deal to get one guy. And that's the Young Thug case, right? They got Woody. Woody was a shooter. Woody was the hitter, but they wanted Young Thug. They didn't really want Woody. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really want Woody. They just said, okay, Woody, we will let you go free on all your murders. Just tell us Young Thug. We want you to take Young Thug down. We want Young Thug. So this is what's happened in David's case, right? They're focused. I believe law enforcement is focused completely on David. They're not investigating this in a conspiracy way. And I also believe that they may have found out some other people were involved, but they're cutting these guys deals. They say, look, we won't prosecute you as long as you get on that stand and say, David did it. See, the police are corrupt, man. They're getting their feelings. They get personal. A little girl got, deleted. They want blood. They want blood. They don't care. They don't care if, well, we need to go to the protocol. We need to investigate this properly. No, they just want somebody to pay for this, even if they didn't do it, right? How many wrongful convictions have been in these state prisons? Thousands and thousands. And dudes have 25, 30 years for cases that they didn't do. And this is why I do not trust the justice system. I do not trust the district attorney. I do not trust, especially the LAPD. Y'all know I'm from California, right? I do not trust the LAPD. They motherfuckers is corrupt. But let's just turn a little bit more. Let's see what we're talking about.
Point to a video that shows the killer killing someone. You have to go through the very rigorous and thorough investigation to look at all the digital and forensic evidence. You have to speak with witnesses, often who are cooperative, and some who are not cooperative, in order to obtain all the information necessary to decide who did what, when, how, and what their mental state was at the time. That is what we've been doing over the last, between September 8th, roughly, and today when we bring these charges on April 20th. So again, it's a type of case that you want to make sure you get maximum information.
I want to be clear about something.
So that is, what they do. But a large times, even if they find out that somebody else might have did something else, right? They want David. David's the easy target. Their minds are set right now. This is what I believe. I believe the district attorney knows that there's more people involved. But LAPD, they want David. They don't care about nothing else. They want David. So they went, got their detectives, went out and harassed these witnesses, probably did a little bit of muscling, manipulated the statements, made it all look like David did it. See, this is what LAPD does. They'll take a person that they believe did it, and even though they don't have the evidence to actually prove that this person did it, they'll take the guy, arrest him, and shape the case like he did it. This is why Lee Barker went to prison, right? Because these sheriffs were in there, right, putting cases on dudes. They would go in, hit the dudes, beat the dudes up, and then call for help. And then they would not hit their heads on the wall, or hit their hand on the wall like they're bruised, and say, "Oh yeah, the inmate, he attacked me." And then the feds investigated and found the cameras that these guys were lying, right? And Lee Barker went to jail for obstruction of justice. The obstruction of justice because they prevented the FBI from investigating these claims. So We all know the LAPD, and in my opinion, and just my opinion, I believe all police forces are corrupted. I believe all of them are corrupt. Some are more corrupt than others, especially LAPD and New York PD. Big city police officers are really, really fucked up. So let's look at some more video. Let's go. Let's get back to the case. That was just a sidebar moment. Thank y'all for coming. Hit the like button. We're just kind of breaking down this corrupt system. I think the same thing, Ruthless. Sometimes some things just don't add up, and he should have never dealt with that underage young girl. Seriously, David should have known better. In fact, I agree with that 100%, Orlando. I don't know what David was thinking. Nigga, if a 14-year-old girl was my fan, and she showed up at my house, I'm calling the cops and getting her away from her. Hey, look, this is not my daughter. I don't know this girl. And I'm getting a restraining order on this girl. I do not want her around my house. Now, what I will do for her, because I understand that young girls, they might be my big fans. I send her some free albums. I send her a free album. I gave her a free ticket to my concerts that she can come with her parents. And concerts, no backstage passes. She just comes to the concert for free for life, right? I said, okay, I give her, she gets free entrance to all my concerts for life, right? As long as she comes with adults, but she can't come to my house, nowhere on my personal property, no backstage, nothing. Why would I do that when I'm already got to watch these regular chicks who are my age, 18, 19, who are gold diggers. I'm not definitely going to bring no 14-year-old girl around. So I agree with you, Rolando. He should not have that little girl nowhere within 1,000 feet of him. And if she keeps showing up, I'm gonna keep calling the cops and send her back to her parents. No. Because you see how the police had to have him. So when the police came, they had to have him come out and open up the gate. So she couldn't just get in. She had to make a call or hit some to let her in. So I don't know what David was thinking there. I thought that was, to me, very strange. Maybe he's into that. I don't know. But he is in a lot of trouble.
According to once sealed documents, the mother, the father, and the brother of D4VD tried to quash their subpoenas to come and testify. That was denied. Straight out to Tammy Ballard joining us, DNA crime scene expert. Tammy, what do you think could have been found, forensic evidence such as DNA or other evidence found at the scene, that led them to charge murder, not a lesser charge, but intentional with malice aforethought, the killing of another person? What could it be?
Well, I would actually wonder if they identified through some sort of investigative capabilities where the actual crime scene is. There's obviously a secondary crime scene, so that's a possible that somebody came forward and they've identified where she was actually murdered.
According to once sealed documents, the mother, the father, and the brother of D4VD tried to quash their subpoenas to come and testify. That was denied. Straight out to Tammy Ballard joining us, DNA crime scene expert. Tammy, what do you think could have been found, forensic evidence such as DNA or other evidence found at the scene, that led them to charge murder, not a lesser charge, but intentional with malice aforethought, the killing of another person? What could it be?
Well, I would actually wonder if they identified through some sort of investigative capabilities where the actual crime scene is. There's obviously a secondary crime scene.
And that's my question, right? How did they come up? Because remember, they could not get a grand jury indictment. They took this case to the grand jury, and the grand jury, they could not return an indictment because there was a lot of speculation. And it's still speculation, right? So how could they come up with these type of charges and they couldn't get a grand jury indictment? Because what they're going to do is they're going to try to make these charges, they're going to try to manipulate the jury, just like in the Diddy case, right? The Diddy case is a classic example of overcharging people and trying to get the jury to be emotionally make bad call, right? And the jury didn't go for it. And this is the thing about these cases, man. This is these district attorneys and U.S. attorneys are diabolical, right? They just play. Dude, I have no problem. You do the crime, you do the time. I'm legit with that. But I don't think by any means necessary just try to make somebody guilty just because you feel they did it. You need to have all the ducks lined up. Because let's be honest, the Diddy case, the federal government made a fool of themselves. The Young Thug case, the state made a fool of themselves. They was up there just like they was amateurs, like they just was going off feelings and shit. Right? This is becoming a thing now, right? They're just putting cases together and making shit up and trying to make shit fit. The OJ case they made a fool of themselves. So this is something that the courts are known for, right? Making fools of themselves. But David didn't make it any easier for himself, though, by having his little girl around his home. I mean, I don't understand that. Maybe, I don't know, man. I don't understand why he would do something so foolish when he's on his way to the top. Now, could he have done this? I don't know, right? Maybe. I mean, he does. I mean, I don't know. Let's look at some video. Let's look at some more video.
So that's a possible that somebody came forward and they've identified where she was actually murdered.
According to once sealed documents, the mother, the father, and the brother of D4VD tried to quash.
So let's go some more. Let's look at some more information. Let's see. I got a bunch of videos. I got a lot of information here. We got to process this information. So let's talk about this for a little bit, right? Welcome to the show. Feel free to chime in because, right, I'm just kind of speculating a lot here. I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm looking at the information, trying to process it. So if you want to chat in the chat and give your thoughts and opinions, your thoughts and opinions matter over here at Ruthless Channel. Thank you for coming. But let's think about this for a minute. Let's think about this. This guy has a little girl running around his house for whatever reason. Then he makes a song called Homicide, Romantic Homicide. And then the chick comes up missing. And do I think he knows who did it? I think he has knowledge. Because you don't just, listen, he had a Tesla. That Tesla, you did not report a stolen car. You did not report your car stolen. That car was somewhere, that's a $35,000 to $50,000 Tesla. I don't know which one it was, but they go start at $35,000 all the way to like as much as $80,000, right? So I mean, nobody just walks in and out their house and just say, "Oh, like a missing Tesla just ain't nothing." He ain't that big of an artist. He's on his way up, but he's what you call a mid-level artist, right? He was at the brinks of becoming like Kanye and Jay-Z, all them, right? He was on his way there. But he hadn't reached that level yet. But we have a lot of weird things going on in this case. Why would this guy not report his car stolen? Why would the parents, right, not file a missing persons report after a week? Your little daughter, you ain't heard from her? Because push comes to shove, if your daughter's at the house, she needs to check in every day. Call home and check in. I'm not saying I would have went way further than that. I would have went to the next level. But obviously the parents, they knew that she was there, and they kind of just, just checked in with her. But she goes missing for what? Months on end, and nobody files a missing person report. And David doesn't file, like, actually report his car. Hey, my car's stolen. I haven't seen my Tesla. Somebody's taking my Tesla. So that kind of, to me, kind of makes him look bad there. I don't know, right? This is a weird case. Let's look at some more videos. But yeah, well, I mean, you should have called the police. Let's go here. Let's get this.
Breaking news, authorities are now searching David's home, and some crazy new details have been released. So last night, a swarm of officers was seen searching the Hollywood Hills home where the Tesla registered to David was originally towed from. And people are saying this is obviously David's home because he's literally posted videos and TikToks from inside, and there was a red Tesla found in the garage. They seized a computer and other items, but haven't revealed anything else. They also revealed that not found complete. They found a head, a torso, and other limbs, and it's unclear whether all of her was even there. They also leaked a song by David titled Celeste, where he mentions her name 2 times, says he loves her and he's missing her so much. Not to mention his hit song Romantic H was released on September 7th, which is Celeste's birthday, where he says, "In the back of my mind, you died. I didn't even cry, not a single tear, and I'm sick of waiting patiently for someone that won't even arrive." And then says, you, and didn't even regret it. I can't.
So once again, we have here, just say, let's go. Let's look at it. I got another video. Let's get another video. Let's go. Let's get a little bit more legal. Let's get more analytical. Hit the like button. Thank you for coming to the show. Let's get more analytical.
Pleading not guilty, Hernandez's dismembered body was found in the trunk of Burke's abandoned car last September. Now, prosecutors say they're confident they can prove he killed the 14-year-old girl. But his attorneys say evidence will show he didn't. ABC's Trevor Ault has the latest.
Harrowing new accusations against popular singer David, now charged with first-degree murder and sex crimes in the death of a 14-year-old girl.
A parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back.
The LA District Attorney says the 21-year-old, whose real name is David Burke, had a months-long sexual relationship with that young girl, Celeste Rivas. Investigators believe he killed her after being concerned either Rivas or a third party would report it, and he wanted to protect his status as a rising star. Investigators say last year, April 23rd, Celeste Rivas went to David's.
So what they're saying is that he took her out because she was planning to expose their sexual relationship. Now, if she did that, that would have definitely ruined his career. Maybe not, I don't know. R. Kelly, everybody knew R. Kelly was doing that shit. So, depends on how good his music is. But they're saying she was threatening to expose. But why? The question is, why would she do that? Why would she do something like that? If this is her biggest fan, she was in love with him, obviously. Why would she do that? That would hurt him. And why would he, I don't know, man. That's a lot of speculating there. Let's look some more.
House in the Hollywood Hills, and that was the last time she was seen alive. According to the
So she ran away from home to be with this guy. She could have did that at home. She could have stayed at home and filed a police report. Why would she go home, then run away from home to be with this guy? Obviously, she's in love with him. Obviously, she wants to be with him, right? So it wasn't like he forced her to come over. I mean, he kind of brought on himself though a little bit by letting that girl in his house. I would never let her in my house. I wouldn't, matter of fact, I wouldn't let her 100 feet of me. She can only see me at the concert. Let's go.
charging documents, he was allegedly lying in wait to kill her and used a sharp instrument as a deadly weapon.
On September 8, 2025, Ms. Rivas's dismembered and badly decomposed body was discovered in the front trunk of Mr. Burke's impounded Tesla.
Prosecutors allege in May 2025, David mutilated the body, and the decomposition made the investigation into her cause of death especially difficult.
What makes you confident you can prove these allegations?
The totality of the evidence, where we believe we can prove each and every one of these three charges and the special circumstances and the special allegation beyond a reasonable doubt.
And Diane, David's attorney claims the real evidence in this case will show he did not murder Celeste Rivas and was not the cause of her death. But if convicted, David could face life in prison without parole or even potentially the death penalty. Diane?
Trevor Alt, thank you. And ABC News legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer is here for more. Hi, Brian. So the DA is adamant they can prove Burke murdered Celeste Rivas Hernandez. What do these charges of first-degree murder and sex crimes tell you about the potential evidence they have?
Good morning, Diane. I'm really focusing on these murder in the first degree charges because there are three separate special circumstances. One, that David is alleged to have been lying in wait. Two, that he did this for financial gains. And three, that he did this to silence a witness. And when you put those three together as a narrative and you heard the presser, what they're arguing here is that because of the relationship that David had, I believe he was 20 or 19 at the time, in which Celeste was alive when she was then 14, he's with a minor. And the allegations are that David committed this crime not only to hide the fact that he was having this relationship, that's that witness part, but also to save his career because
well, the only thing my problem is if he was trying to hide something, how was he trying to hide something with this girl's running around his house? She's on camera, she's on film, everybody knows who she is, all his friends know her, he knows her family knows him. What was he trying to hide? There's nothing he can do. If she comes out and says it, so there's no way in the world he would think, oh, let me try to hide this. There's no way possible. There's no way possible. There's no way possible. We don't even know if they were having sex. I believe this is all speculation. We don't know. Because if this was so clear-cut case like they're saying, why couldn't they return the grand jury indictment? Why did they have a grand jury indict this case? 7 months. 7 months, man. If it was that clear cut, oh, well, lie in wait, and he did all this, and they had all these pieces, right? They would have charged him in 30 days. So I don't know. I'm a little perplexed about that.
Obvious assumption is if this was public, he would have lost everything. That's that financial gain part. And then lying in wait is the one really intriguing to me because that tells me the prosecution has some level of information to say that David somehow lured Celeste.
But I'm confused by what you mean he would have lost everything. Okay, he might have got in trouble. They would have put him on probation. His music would continue selling. Maybe his music would have stopped selling. Right? But his dad's a lawyer. His parents, they're doing pretty good. right? He's paying $20K a month, and he's not even been. That was his first album, right? He's not even did a tour yet. He hasn't even. So I don't know. Let's see.
Into an area, waited, and then sprung some sort of trap on her, causing her to be murdered. That's very intriguing to me to see what they have, especially after this very long investigation.
Brian, the motive part of that, they're alleging that he killed Celeste because she was threatening his lucrative music career. How difficult do you think that part will be to prove? And what happens if they can't?
Yeah. So I'll kind of answer in backwards somewhat, Diane. If they can't prove it, then that type of special circumstance murder gets dismissed, but there are still the witness aspect and the lying in wait, so they could still succeed, them being the prosecution in what they're trying to do. But if they can't show a financial gain, if they can't show some sort of digital forensics, whether it be a text message or a communication between either David and Celeste or David and another person who is familiar with his accounting and his banking or whatever, something to show his intent, they won't be able to prove that. So I imagine there's going to be a cooperating witness, some sort of digital forensics, something to play out that narrative for the jury.
Brian, an autopsy is often key in a murder case. In this case, this body was very decomposed by the time it was found. So is it still going to play as big of a role?
I think it will play a very big role, Diane. And the prosecutor, D.A. Hawkins, said he's going to actually try to move to get that autopsy report released. But what we see, I think, can tell us a lot about this case. Don't forget, Celeste Rivas's body was found on September 8th. Of last year in LA. Her body was presumably there for days, if not weeks. And if we recall, in LA, they had record high heats in August. I think even just a few days before her body was found, it was in a triple digits in temperature, inside of a trunk, inside 2 different plastic bags. Her body would be heavily decomposed. But if they can find anything in terms of toxicology or any kind of injuries on the bone fragments that were still found, and then have some sort of corroboration with a witness, like someone close to David who said, yes, he did X, Y, and Z, that information, that corroboration could be very damning for David's case.
Brian, the DA says they could seek the death penalty, but they'll determine that later. What goes into that decision, and why not make it now?
Yeah, so the fact that we have these special circumstances along with the murder charges, that lying in wait, the financial gain, the going after a witness, that allows them to upgrade a murder from life in prison without parole to the death penalty. And what goes into this is who the
Yeah, I know they had a video. Yeah, they was on streaming together.
The victim is. Are they seriously vulnerable? A 14-year-old girl.
So for sure, they definitely had. Yeah, they was on stream together. So I don't know what he was thinking. He be trying to hide. I can't believe that. That part I can't believe. There's only 2 things that I can see here, right? I'm just giving my opinion. Is a sacrifice, some sort of ritual, devil worshiping shit. That's what I think more. I think this is more of that than it is financial gain or witness to him. No, I just believe, if anything, I believe she was a sacrificial for whatever demonic shit that going on in Hollywood. Because the only thing that bothers me is, if he was really do that, why did he just get rid of the body? Why leave the body in a car? Why not take the body to the desert, bury it? And then from there, y'all figure the shit out. Right? So, I don't know. But we'll see. There's a lot of speculation here going on with these analysts, analytical, the judge, the prosecution. They all, in my opinion, are speculating. And I'm speculating. But I'm not charging him, right? I don't know if he did it or not. I don't know. Somebody help me out in the chat. I don't know. If he did it, we'll see. I want to see all the facts. I want to see how they're going to prove this case. Because there's some questions I have for David. The question I have for David is, why you didn't report the car stolen? Why you didn't file a missing person report? I mean, this is supposed to be your homegirl. Let's say y'all wasn't having sex and she was just a fan. You had her around. And she comes up missing. Why you didn't file a missing person report? Why did the parents file a missing person report? And those the questions I have. Now, whether he lie in wait and all that old shit, extra shit they trying to put in there. I don't know why I don't know. They want to kill him. I don't know. Just say we want to put the death penalty on the table. This is special allegations. But what we have here, gentlemen, is a lady. I don't know if it was a lady and gentlemen. We have here is this is what you call a bull rush attack, right? Law enforcement is again rolling the dice that they can make this shit fit. Because if it was that clear cut, once again, they could have returned a grand jury indictment. And if they got a grand jury indictment, they would skip the preliminary. They would have to do a preliminary, right? Get right to it, right? Go right to trial. So, which would be, less time consuming. So I'm a little skeptical about these charges and the way they're framed. And then the last charge, him, right? A witness. He was witnesses to the crime. He was, the fuck that mean? Does she, of course she's a witness if he murdered her because she's a victim. So I don't know. These guys are kind of weird with that charge. Let me see what else I got here. Let's see what else. Let's see what else.
I think would fall into that category. Who is the defendant? What is his record? What is the heinousness of the crime? Dismemberment of a body, talking to the victim's family, who I'm assuming would want the harshest of punishment. Having that conversation and evaluating the case is what goes into this, and they'll determine, not today, because they like to take their time and kind of dot their I's and cross their T's, but sometime later on in the days and weeks and potentially months as to whether or not they seek the death penalty against David.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, always great to have your analysis. Thank you.
A parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. Their grief is uncalculable.
The LA County District Attorney has just made a big decision regarding criminally charging singer David in connection with the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas.
Yeah, this is my Wi-Fi right now. Yeah, but they are, I mean, I don't trust law enforcement. I don't trust law enforcement. Never have, never will. These people, to me, are corrupted. Right? These people are corrupted to me. I don't trust that when the district attorney make claims like that, because they swore Diddy was guilty. Oh, well, he did this, he did that, he racketeered. They came out with a whole statement. And then when the trial came out, they fumbled the basketball. They fumbled the football, whatever. Right? They fumbled the damn case. So once again, lately, the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, fumbling. They've been fumbling these cases. They've been fumbling them pretty bad. And And just on that alone, to me, it affects the integrity of this investigation. The integrity of them are not. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't care what you say and what big words you use. I don't care how many times. No, I don't believe you. You know better than the person you're charging. Lying.
Singer. Can you clarify something? Again, it came out today, but I just want to make sure I'm accurate. Your theory of the case is that Burke allegedly lured Celeste out to this property, that she was going to report.
Now, once again, that sounds stupid. Why would he lure her when she was voluntarily coming? This girl lived all the way in Riverside. She would leave her home to come to him. Once again, I don't think this was a wise thing for David to do, but it is what it is at this point, right? You can't sit there fucking, oh, well, he shouldn't have had a little girl there, or he should have didn't know. The fact is, it is what it is. And the parents let it go down. The law enforcement let it go down. Everybody sit there. That shit could have been stopped. That little girl could have been stopped. But it didn't. So luring her, why would he do that when she was obviously into him? So there's no way he's going to lure her. She's going to come regardless. I don't think he did this, but we'll see. I don't think he lured her. If anything, he just was waiting for her to come over the routine, right? Routine. I just don't know why the law enforcement are always doing this dumb shit. They're always doing this dumb shit. Let's go.
When, bro? It only took 9 months. It only took 9 months. It's not my man's, bro. I don't want to see none of that shit. I already knew when I clicked this link, motherfucker's gonna be weird, bro. Okay, dude. How many times do I gotta say? Yes, before everything, all the evidence. And I don't know why people make it out to it just being me. Yes, I did defend him, and I regret doing that because obviously after all the evidence, I switched up on him. Yeah, I'm gonna switch up on a pedophile murderer. The fuck?
And once again, this man's life is going to be ruined. Because what if he beats this? See, and this is once again, right? I don't like the court system because what they do is they try to intimidate witnesses. They reword their statements. They make cases fit. They can make a case fit a motherfucker, man. And that's why I'm skeptical. What's up? What my boy said. It does sound stupid. This is the same district attorney who wanted the Mendez brothers to stay in jail. This district attorney reminds me of O.G. Gio Garcia, the OJ. Facts, right? Listen, let me tell you my history with this. Ruthless Truth has a long history with the federal and state police, right? So let me tell y'all about my first case, right? Armed bank robbery, which they charged me with in a federal level, right? They did never catch me at the bank. They never caught me with any money. They never caught me with a gun, nothing. They came to my house 3 a.m, right? And took me in and booked me. And we went all the way to trial. And they couldn't prove it. My lawyer moved to dismiss because they didn't have, due to insufficient evidence. And the judge said, no, we don't care. What convicted me was my lifestyle. I had too many nice things. If I would have been regular lifestyle, I would have beat it. But You know, but my point I'm making is, even in the lineup, when they did the lineup for me, right, they made my picture 10 times bigger than everybody's picture in the lineup. They fingerprinted me for 3 days straight. And I'm like, damn, what the fuck? Ain't nothing gonna change in 3 days. And they made the case fit, but largely the case was, where did he get these nice cars? How did he afford his living? And that's how I got convicted. So I'm not gonna cry over spoiled milk. But what I am saying is, they're not to be trusted, because the police, sometimes they want to win. They just want to win. They want to win. And they'll do anything and go above and beyond if they feel that they got the right guy. Okay? So yeah, these prosecutors are looking for, number one, to be promoted. But the worst of the prosecutors, the sheriffs, right? The local police, they're in the bed together, right? They plant evidence on people. So I just don't just take everything these cops say. I don't trust them enough to just take their word at everything. Oh, well, we're going to charge him and we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. That is, to me, right? That is, to me, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. I don't. So I want to say, I don't know why David did the things he did. I mean, come on, man. I don't know why he had that little girl around there, but in my opinion, I just seem like this is very weird. It seems very weird to me. I've never seen nothing like this. Let's go to the court proceeding. Yeah, let's go back to the court proceeding. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm going to go to the court. Let's go to the court. Let's go back to the court. Let's go back. Let me see. Let me get this first. Let me switch this up first, because I'm just trying to figure out, right? I want to look at this because I want to figure out why in the hell did the grand jury did not come back with an indictment, right? Why did not the grand jury come back with an indictment? I do not think the judicial system, I think they interrogated the witnesses to blame David. And I think there is more to this case. Foul play, if you can say, just my opinion. I agree with you, Rolando. I 100% agree with you. I do not trust the court system. Welcome to the show. Hit the like button. Follow me on Twitch. But yeah, I don't trust them either. Don't trust their asses. I don't. And
crimes involving a 14-year-old girl. Tonight, the singer known as David pleading not guilty to murder in Los Angeles. David, whose name is David Burke, is charged with murder and sex crimes involving a 14-year-old girl. Her body found in the trunk of his car. Prosecutors say he had a months-long sexual relationship with her. They argue he killed her because he wanted to protect his status as a rising star. Tonight, his attorney says the evidence will prove he's innocent.
Welcome to the TMZ podcast. Devin here with Courtney.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
You have an okay morning?
Okay morning. Running a little bit late. Didn't get to finish my hair yet, so I'll go back and finish.
I didn't even notice. I saw this briefly, and I felt like it
I'm
actually
very excited
vindicated
about
him.
that story. No way.
Okay, and Drake is coming out with new music.
Yeah.
It seems. I mean, he's been teasing this Iceman thing for a while.
Tonight, the singer known as David.
What the hell are they talking about? Let's go here.
Criminal defense attorney in Florida. Back to talk to you about David. Oh my gosh, it's a little bit nostalgic because our first video was about David, and it's been quite a journey. If you've been here with us from the beginning, definitely let us know because it's been a heck of a ride, and glad to have you here now. Anyway, so that video we actually put out in December of 2025, and it was all over the news then, despite the fact that it was September 8th, 2025 that the body of then 14-year-old Celeste Rivas was found. And this was a girl who had been missing for years, but yet the internet quickly went to doing its thing, and reports came out that the singer and performer, who was very well known and out there even doing tours, was now a person of interest of sorts, right? It was all over. They're showing him with Celeste. And so there were a lot of questions, and LAPD right away gets to work. Obviously, they found the body of a 14-year-old girl in the trunk of a Tesla. There were a lot of reports about the condition that the body was found, and then the difficulties with the medical examiner being able to determine what the cause of death was, how long she'd been there. And so law enforcement gets to work and starts subpoenaing witnesses, and also at some point, but also getting search warrants for the property that was rented by David's manager. And in the meantime, David kind of goes radio silent, cancels tours, isn't doing any appearances. We don't hear anything, right? We don't have any statements being made by him related to this, and yet it's his vehicle, or a vehicle in his name, where the body was found. So a lot of questions. We did another video when they did execute a search warrant on that rental property, and they found a burn cage, which was odd to say the least. And what does that mean, right? So then there was reports of a grand jury proceeding finally happening. And so anytime there is a homicide, if the prosecution wants to seek an indictment or file charges, they can either file the charges directly themselves by a complaint, write up the charges, or they can bring the facts to a grand jury. And this is a closed proceeding. There's no defense attorney there. The prosecutor brings in the evidence to see if these grand jury members will find sufficient probable cause to move forward with an indictment. And a true bill is how they call it. And so there's all this talk that this is going on, and they're subpoenaing witnesses, even in Texas, where David's family members lived, and he had a house over there. And so all this is going on. And in fact, attorneys for David's family they were trying to block these subpoenas. And there was a petition filed, a writ, a habeas to block it. And Texas judges said, nope, you got to go testify. And so they go testify. Someone closely related to David, a Neo guy, he got arrested because he needed to come in and testify. So they do all of that. And the presumption is that they are pursuing this possible indictment. We don't know against who, we don't know for what, but that it's happening. And then crickets, nothing, still nothing. And then all of a sudden, we hear that David's been picked up, finally. I think some of you guys were like, finally. So what of that? But when I looked it up, you don't see any booking information, any case information. There's no complaint filed. And so it's like, what gives, right? Well, California is way more defense favorable. You know what that means? It's like they have more rights when you're accused. They really hold the prosecution to account. If you're going to arrest someone on probable cause, law enforcement can do that. So the law enforcement officer can say, hey, I think we have enough probable cause to arrest someone. However, California law says you have 48 hours if the police do that for the...
Now, probable cause. Let's break that down. That is such a vague and very broad term at the same time, right? And this is the problem in policing. When they allow law enforcement to speculate these theories and say, oh, I believe that this person may have did something, which then even though we don't have evidence, even though we don't have facts, all we know is we got some rumors, we got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we're going to arrest this person because maybe, probable means maybe. See, and that's the gray area that is faulty in that fucking probable cause. Probable cause, this law needs to be changed. Officers should not be able, on a constitutional level, to arrest somebody on probably, maybe not cause. Because when you give them that much leeway, it helps them to set people up, plant evidence on people. Well, why'd you stop her? It was probable cause. I thought she looked like somebody who was doing something. It was something fishy going on. Okay. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? That gives you a right to arrest? See, and this is the problem, right? Once again. Now, if you see something, if officers see something that's obvious, more, if you see a gun, they can tote the gun or get ready to, he's reaching for something, that's different. But we're talking about, I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way you was looking. I'm going to arrest you because you probably was going to do something, which is another form of overt acts, right? And once again, this fucking law is so, these laws are so broad and vague at the same time, right? Meaning they cover a lot. Because police can essentially arrest you just because you look weird. And that is, to me, a violation of the Constitution. Either you have evidence that I've done it, or leave me the fuck alone. It is we're proven we're innocent until proven guilty. Probable cause means they think you're guilty and you got to prove your innocence. And that is the flaws in the probable cause act, because the probable cause broadens the perspective of what the officer can do, right? He can speculate and make some shit up and arrest you for it. And now a lot of times they let people go, DA rejects, but still, right? It inconveniences people to deal with officers who are speculating, probably, maybe not, and take you down to the police station and booking you. Even that little bit of thing is not fun. So these police need to revamp the probable cause law, because our officer should not, nor of law enforcement, should not be allowed to lock you up on probability. That in itself is a recipe for disaster, because what does it allow the police to do? It allows them to make shit up. It allows them to plant evidence. It allows them to try to make this shit fit, make this shit stick. And that's how you get corrupt policing. They get witnesses to lie. They ask the witness, is that him? Well, it kind of, I don't know. Just say it's him. Fuck it. We'll deal with it. The witnesses, okay. The witnesses, all of them, all these fucking witnesses, they be punking these witnesses. Mostly all the witnesses get punked when they come into a police station. They interrogate them, make up some shit, and these niggas fold. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, he did it. Right? And that's that probable cause shit that needs to be restructured and revamped because it's not legitimate. That is not a legitimate reason to arrest nobody. Just because somebody looks like doesn't mean they are. Let's make that clear.
The prosecution to file a complaint, to file formal charges, or they got to let them go. Now, in Florida, if you get arrested, they have 33 days. What's up with that? So Florida, you have to sit in jail for 33 days, and you may not know until then whether or not they're going to charge you formally. But if the 33 days happen and no charges are filed, you get released, ROR, which means on your own recognizance, you don't have to pay a bond, you just get out. That doesn't mean your case goes away. And so that's a big question with David, whether or not, if they have until Monday. Here's another sneaky thing. Sneaky or not sneaky, maybe they're trying to give the prosecution time. In California, also, if the person gets picked up on a Wednesday or arrested on a Wednesday, they have to bring that person to a judge on Thursday, and the DA would have had to file charges by Thursday, or he would be released. And instead, LAPD arrest him on a Thursday, so that now it's only business days. So the 48-hour clock starts, but they skip the weekend. So now they have until Monday to make a decision. Is the DA going to file charges or not? Otherwise, he gets.
And this is pure playing with somebody's life.
The sharp instrument's going to be very interesting because we have this medical examiner's report. Obviously, the body was dismembered. That would also involve the use of a sharp instrument. So how the prosecutors plan on disambiguating the cause of death and how she was killed from how she was dismembered afterwards is going to be an interesting part of this case.
Yeah, no, I was going to say to the dismemberment, they have a date for that.
Yes.
That they believe it happened on May 5th. Now, this is really the most, to me, the most stunning part of the revelations from the DA today, because the DA is saying that Celeste's body was dismembered, put in 2 trash bags, and that they stayed in David's Tesla from May until September when the body was found. Now, we told you, we broke a story actually, that that David, according to authorities, took a mysterious trip to Santa Barbara last spring. In the middle of the night, spent a couple of hours there, and nobody could figure out what's going on. It seems to me now what they're saying is that they are going to allege, I think, that he dismembered her there, put the body back in the Tesla, but kept it there. And now it raises a question. If the body is there from May, June, July, I mean, for more than 4 months in a trunk. Now you understand why it took so long for the medical examiner to determine anything.
In a hot trunk, the state of decomposition over that number of months, this is the spring and the summer. So this body is in not sort of the shape that you can really determine what happens to a person very easily. And that's why early on we knew it was undetermined. Both the manner and the cause of death were undetermined by the medical examiner.
Not just undetermined, but the medical examiner, we have sources connected to the medical examiner who were saying they didn't know if they could ever determine an actual cause of death because of the state of the body. We didn't know that, according to the DA at least, that it had been in a trunk for 4 months. But if that's the case, it's going to be real interesting to get that medical examiner's report to know what it says and how they were able to go from we can't figure out how she died to it's a homicide and here's how she died.
Yeah, it may be undeterminable at some point, they were saying. And now the prosecutor is saying, okay, let's release that medical examiner's report. So they are pushing for that to come out, but I'm not sure it's going to be helpful. This strategic move by David is fascinating to me because it's really holding the prosecutor's feet to the fire.
To want the preliminary
hearing. Let's have
a
preliminary hearing. Let's let you lay out your case and we can begin to poke holes in it because everything happened so quickly. When the LAPD descended on the house, we thought, did they get out over their skis? That started the clock ticking. Did that that push the prosecutors? Now we'll really get to see if that's the case, because he has a right to a speedy trial. He can call for this.
Right. And so the argument we talked about on Friday, Mark Garagos had people connected to this case. He says, who were saying that the DA got frustrated, the LAPD got frustrated with the DA because the LAPD felt once the medical examiner said it's homicide, go arrest the guy. And apparently, at least according to Garagos, the DA wasn't ready to file charges, and the LAPD just said, screw it, we're going to do it and force their hand. If that was a scenario, then calling for a preliminary hearing, could maybe show that the DA is kind of flat-footed, at least if that's...
That's right. It could have massive consequences on the DA's ability to prosecute this case effectively. If the LAPD forced their hand and now they are not ready to actually press these charges against David, calling for a 10-day preliminary hearing is really going to show whether that's the case.
The DA seemed to be responding to that story today during the news conference where he said that we, meaning the DA's office and LAPD, have been in lockstep all along and that we were working on this together.
That's all they can say at this point, though, right?
Well, we don't know.
Maybe they were.
Garagos may be right or wrong on that, but he said he had really good sources. So we will see. But forcing that is going to be really interesting. Number one, this could end up, by the way, being a televised preliminary hearing. It really depends. In California, it depends on the judge you get. But there are judges who have allowed, like, for example, O.J. Simpson, where they allow cameras in for preliminary hearings and other judges won't. So this could be a really interesting development. The other thing that is interesting is it forces the DA to play his hand. And there's a lot of tension between prosecutors and the defense, where prosecutors sometimes are slow in turning information over. By demanding a prelim, the defense gets a preview of the prosecution's case that they might not otherwise get. The other thing that I don't think anybody's really talked about in court is that what the DAs often do in situations like this is they will charge the defendant, which they did today, and then go to the grand jury and get an indictment which supersedes the charge. And the reason for that is that if you get a grand jury indictment, there's no preliminary hearing. And then the defense essentially is in the dark. So in a way, what the defense is doing is they're saying, hey, we're not going to give you the chance to do that. We're demanding a prelim right now.
Yeah, they're not going to give him a chance to clean it all up through the grand jury. They're saying, bring what you have now. You've brought a charging document. Let's see what you got.
So the DA can't now say in the next 10 days, try to get a grand jury to get. Now,
they could absolutely. Yes.
But the defense knows what that will look like now that they have demanded the preliminary
Well, see,
hearing.
what I'm thinking is they could go to the grand jury that's been hearing this case for 4 months because they're already up to speed on all the evidence.
Right.
So you don't have to present from scratch. You can kind of do a shorthand presentation because if you could get that same grand jury that was investigating this, it may be that they could blunt that, get a grand jury indictment, and then the preliminary hearing just goes out the window.
That's right, but it does require them to act quickly, and they weren't ready to sort of ask the grand jury for that yet, so they got to get ready quickly either way.
Tiffany from LA. I'm super excited for the Beth versus Burke kind of matchup. It seems like both these lawyers are very aggressive. What Blair Burke did is pretty risky, setting something in the period, because there's probably so much evidence on like a terabyte or two for digital evidence on phones, in DMs and social media, that her team will have to be ready to go around the clock reviewing digital evidence. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. Or it could be that David is just unaccustomed to being in custody and didn't want to waive time.
Well, he's going to be in custody until the trial because they've alleged special circumstances, and that's where bail gets denied. So, yeah, I mean, the defense is going to get a preview of the evidence. But the other thing we should say is, even if the judge throws it out now, the judge is going to throw it out if they did that in a prelim, knowing that they can always refile because, as everybody knows,
Nathan
there's
Hochman would absolutely
no statute of limitations on murder.
Coming up, One Direction will not be getting.
So we see here that there's some games been going on here. Why would the LAPD feel a need or think they should have a need to force the hand of the district attorney, who is doing their job. They just want to make sure they get it right. And in my opinion, I believe the LAPD undermined the district attorney. So if the district attorney was being patient and trying to make sure they're right, LAPD has ruined that. Now they got to reach and potential have another OJ / Diddy 101. Right? And this is, once again, the LAPD is one of the worst police forces you ever want to ever deal with. They are corrupted from the bottom to the top. They are corrupted as they come. They as corrupt as they come. So this is showing me that, right? Because the difference between local police and the district attorney, the local piece of the guerrillas, right? They're the muscle. They want to go out and buff stuff off. They want to make shit feed. They go out and put cases on people. They just what they do, right? They take drugs, put it on this drug guard, plant guns, because that's what they do. And then they give it to the district attorney and say, hey, look what we got for you. Take it. Yeah, I know it's illegal. I know we infringed on the constitutional rights. We know this, but by any means necessary. Now, is that the way you want your cops? Is that the way you want your police to be by any means necessary? Meaning they're breaking the law, fuck bending it. They're breaking the law to try to execute somebody under the law. When you break to execute, how does that make you any better than the guy that's been charged? Because most times you're breaking law, that means you're making shit up. So what the LAPD did was, once again, badgered the witnesses, manipulate the witnesses. The detectives went in there, interrogated them, twisted their words, right? This shit is a classic OJ case, right? And now, granted, David Dad's a lawyer, so I don't think it's going to be that easy, but we're going to find out.
Back together in any way, shape.
One direction is this way.
That's the direction it's going. Zayn at some point made a comment about Louis' mom.
This is so.
So let's go. Let's go back. Let's go back to the videos. I got some more videos. But yeah, this shit, see, when LA, and this is what I think the local police officers have way too much power, because they want to play dirty, right? They want to play dirty. And to me, that's not professional. It's not professional. I think police officers should maintain their professional state in all cases at all times. Let's go.
Singer David has pleaded not guilty to the murder in connection with the death of...
No, not that one.
I'm not a lawyer, but SF Investigators, he's a private investigator, just posted the David Burke felony complaint, so let's go through it. And I'm telling you now, I have questions, so let's go through this together and then comment with your thoughts. Okay, first thing to call out is it says on or about April 24th, 2025 in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of murder was committed by David Anthony Burke. So that off top tells us that law enforcement believes Celeste was killed on or about April of 2025. And remember, Celeste's body was not found until September 8th of 2025, so almost 5 months after police believe she was killed. And if you recall from the press conference, the DA said that Celeste went to David's house after he invited her over on April 23rd, 2025.
On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste's remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains, were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke.
So based on all of that, it sounds like the DA believes that David invited Celeste over, and within 24 hours, she was dead. Okay, now back to the complaint. Next, it says that David killed Celeste for financial gain, which we already know the prosecutor said the financial gain was his career.
As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night.
And interestingly enough, the pre-sale for David's world tour started on April 23rd, with the public sale starting on April 24th, which again is the very day that prosecutors believe David killed Celeste. And then next the doc says, quote, Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because of that fact. And again, back to the press conference, the DA basically said that Celeste was a witness and a victim to the same crime. And that crime was that David was abusing her.
Now, what kind of stupid ass? That's a stupid ass one. What you mean she was a witness? That's everybody there. Anybody who's deleted is a witness and a victim. Duh. That's not. Did you just throw that charge in there? When you convict him when you charge him for first degree murder with special circumstances, that is enough, right? But what was his overkill? Oh, well, she was a witness and he lied and waited to kill a witness to a crime. Duh. If he did this, of course she's a witness that's going to get taken out. That's every fucking human being. This ain't something different or something new. When you talk about the crime of murder, we understand that, sir. You don't have to put that in. We know when you charge them with first degree murder, then that's the way all the facts come out to see if he did this. What do you mean? Of course she's a dead witness. Duh. That's a no-brainer. I never heard of a charge I've never heard of that charge before. I've never heard of that charge before. Never. I never heard of that. I never heard of a charge where, oh, well, we're charging him with killing a witness who was a witness of a crime that the crime been committed on. What the fuck kind of charge is that? Of course. You have to say that. This how it seemed like in 2026, law enforcement getting stupider and stupider, right? Stupider and stupider.
Sexually.
The witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts.
Wait a minute. So that means they don't have. So what that means is, let's break that down. Let's break that down. What the head district attorney is saying is Celeste was the witness to them having sex, meaning all their witnesses, nobody ever seen them have sex. That's what they're saying. They're saying that the people that we've interviewed never seen any sexual interaction between these two. So they really don't know if they had sex or not. They don't even know if they were having sex. So once again, this is all speculation. That's what that shit means. When they say, oh, Celeste, who was deleted, she was a witness to lewd and sexual acts. Meaning they don't have proof. They do not have any physical, forensics, or digital evidence to prove that these two were engaging in sexual activity. They don't even have an eyewitness. That's what that means. Let's break this shit down. Let's get to it.
Committed by Mr. Burke, that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste, while she was under 14 years old.
And then next up, the document says that David killed her by means of lying in wait. And then it says that he, quote, personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, to wit, a sharp instrument, which makes sense because they believe he also dismembered her. Okay, now on to count 2, which is the charge for abuse. And what's interesting here is that it says on or between September 7th, 2023 and September 4th, 2024, the crime of continuous abuse was committed by David to Celeste, a child under the age of 14, while the defendant resided with and had reoccurring access to the child. So based on this, it sounds like prosecutors believe that at some point during September of 23 and September of 24, Celeste was staying with David, and during that time period, he was abusing her. But what's also interesting about this count is that they ended at September of 2024, but they believe she was killed in April of 2025. So do they believe the interactions between the two of them stopped after September of 24? And if that's the case, I'm so curious what they believe led up to him inviting her over his house in April of 2025. Okay, and then on to count 3, it says that the mutilation happened in the county of Los Angeles.
So once again, if you really listen to this shit, it's the same shit. Now they're saying on 2 days out of the fucking year, they were having sex. But then it stopped after those 2 days. How the fuck? Who does that? Who does that? They're saying that on these 2 particular days, the 23rd of September and the 24th, they believed, I guess, they were having sex. So maybe they got a video, some video, and they heard them talking or something. I don't know. But they're saying they only had sex twice in the whole year. That don't make no sense. And, of course, a sharp weapon. They do not have the weapon. They do not have a weapon. They do not have a weapon. How are they going to say is, duh, anybody can assume that something sharp had to cut her up or go into her. That's, you didn't even have to tell us that she was mutilated. But the point of the weapon, do you have the weapon? Do you got David's fingerprints on the weapon? Do you got his DNA on the weapon? Why are you putting his name on there? Because if you have the weapon, you would have arrested him. The grand jury would have turned the indictment right away. See, they're kind of telling on themselves, right? The grand jury would have returned an indictment if they'd have had his fingerprints, DNA on any weapon that was found in the use of that body. So how could they say, oh, David used a sharp object? What sharp object did he use? Where's that? And if you did find one, where's the DNA? Where's the fingerprints? I'm interested to see this digital evidence. They got all this evidence and you could not indict for 7 months. You're lying. You guys are lying. The grand jury is as quick as they come. They would have returned that motherfucker so fast, bring that fool in, and it's off with his head. They would have been like, oh, well, we don't know. No, they couldn't return the indictment because they didn't have this shit. They're making shit up now.
So that's the complaint. And David did have his arraignment today. And during that arraignment, his attorney said that they want the preliminary hearing to happen quickly.
We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date.
So David will be back in court on Thursday, April 24th for his preliminary hearing. And as a quick refresher, the point of a preliminary hearing is for the prosecutors to lay out some of their case in front of a judge, and a judge determines if there's enough probable cause for this case to proceed to trial or not. And that means we can expect to get more information about what prosecutors believe happened in this case. I imagine the hearing is going to be packed with people, but I do plan to attend, so we will see how that goes. Rest in peace.
I think I'm going to go to that, y'all. That's right down the street. That's Los Angeles. I'm going to that. Rufus is going to pull up the 24th, April 24th. Let me see. See if I got anything on my schedule. And that's right. Then that's Thursday. I think I'm going to go to that one. What y'all think? Yeah, I'm going to film that. I ain't going to go because shit, it's going to be, yeah, I should go though. I should go. Yeah, that's right. That's in downtown Los Angeles. But we see this, that they all of a sudden, the 7 months, which they could not get in grand jury to indict this guy. Now all of a sudden, they go, oh, this magnificent liar. Now, listen, if David did this, like I said, deal with it. Do the crimes of the time, but don't lie on him, man. Don't lie on him. Don't try to make this shit fit. Don't try to, be dirty about it. Right? But just keep the shit. Go through the process. David has a right to a fair trial and is innocent until proven guilty. That's the law that you guys wrote. Let's go.
I'm wondering if he was keeping her body away from his own team. People would come over to the house sometimes frequently. Maybe he had her in the fridge at first, and then there's too many people coming to the house. He takes her out of the fridge. He puts her in the car. I'm wondering if he was keeping her body away from his own team.
And this is, once again, this is a public opinion, man. This public opinion shit is getting on my fucking nerves. Right? And this is what the LAPD do. This is how LAPD fuck shit up. It's what they want to do. They want a motherfucker to go down whether he's guilty or not guilty.
The DA has now formally charged singer David with the murder of Celeste Rivas and is alleging special circumstances. Now, a lot of the information is still vague. The DA would not get into specifics, but based on the special circumstances, I think this is a window in to what the DA is alleging. The DA is saying that the special circumstances were lying in wait and financial gain. Now, he is also being charged with having sex with a minor under the age of 14 and mutilation of a body. The sex with a minor under the age of 13 is significant. It seems like what the DA is saying. Now, he said that the financial...
And they are, once again, right? This is just, all they do is just try to make shit sound. We want to see the evidence. We want to see the facts.
Financial gain is she was a witness to something, and if it got out, it would ruin his career. And killing her was a way of preventing that. So when you kind of connect the dots and put the pieces together, it seems what the DA is alleging is that Celeste was a witness to the fact that she was having sex with David. In other words, she's not just a witness, she is involved, and that she had percipient knowledge, as we say, of the circumstances that he was having sex with an underage girl. So what you would surmise is that when you look at the lying in wait charge, what you would surmise is the DA seems to be suggesting that in some way Celeste threatened to make their sexual relationship public or go to the police. Maybe they were having some kind of a dispute. That's what it seems the DA is suggesting. And that the lying in wait is luring her over to his place and killing her so that she couldn't blow the whistle on him. Now, he didn't say that, but when you try to connect the dots of lying in wait and financial gain, for possibly ruining his career, that seems to be where it's heading. Now, when he is charged with special circumstances, that means the death penalty is on the table. It doesn't mean that that the DA will seek the death penalty, but it is on the table. He is 20 years old. Now, it could go either way because he is an adult. So that's ultimately going to be up to the DA. The immediate consequence of pleading special circumstances is that he will almost certainly be denied bail. So while he awaits trial, then that would probably mean that he will be in jail for the duration of the waiting period.
Do not waive time. Do not waive time. Go directly, 90 days, let's go to trial. Press that line. Don't let them sit there and, no, 90 days, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Not no 2 years, not no 3 years. That's my right to a trial in 90 days. At the most 120. Because I just don't think they have it all. You know, they're making things seem way worse than what they really is. That's what I think. I think they're hiding something. That's what I think. I think they're hiding something, gentlemen. I think they're hiding something. I think they're hiding something. I think there's something they're not telling us. Are they withholding information? Because all they keep saying is, oh, he lied and wait. Let's break down lying and wait. What does that mean? What does lying and wait mean? That means most times that charge is put on someone who executes somebody, right? Typically, that they've been planning this thing out for months and days, and they do their schedule, and they hid in a certain corner and waited for that person to do what they normally do and took him out. That's what it means. That means he's been waiting to kill her forever. That's usually done to people. Most people who do that will be hitmen, personal vendettas. Typically, this is someone who is a serial killer. Those are the type of people who do stuff like that, right? They do this all the time. I don't think David's that advanced. Even if he did this, right? Let's just say he did this. I don't think he's that damn advanced no. If anything, this is my opinion. I don't think he did it. And the reason why I don't think he did it, I just don't think he has the experience. I don't think he has the experience to get away with it like this. Now, that damn song was bad timing. That romantic homicide song, that was not a good time to bring that song out. But once again, right, this case seems to be they took her out, whatever they did. Then do you know how hard it is to dismember a body? It is very difficult. You need a special type of tool, a special type of weapon. You can't just do it with no knife. You can't take nobody body part with no sharp object or a knife. You need like a hatchet, you need a hatchet, or some sort of, like you need something that's, because the bones are, you got to get crushed in bones. To dismember that body, no one person can redo this unless you're like 300 plus pounds, right? You got to be a fucking strong motherfucker, right? David is 5'5", 125 pounds. He can even dismember a body. He can do it. I mean, unless you're going to get a saw or some shit like that. Come on. There have been plenty of witnesses take his ass down. He had people in his house all the time. He's the kind of guy that keeps a lot of people around him, right? His cameraman, his music, other guys, whatever, right? But lying in wait tells me you're usually going to do this for your worst enemies. That's what lying in wait means worst enemies. Now, let's look at this financial gain, right? That, oh, well, she was going to expose them having sex. Okay. That doesn't mean he was going to lose his money. Maybe he was getting endorsements. Okay, so he took her out because he thought if people would find out that they were engaging in sex, that he would lose all his money would be gone. So why would he leave the body in the car? I mean, damn, who be that stupid to leave the body in the car? Knowingly that car is eventually going to be found. Knowing that body's in the car that will be found. Who would do something that stupid? You might as well did all that shit and went and sat in front of the police station. Hey, what's up? What's that? Oh, it's a dismembered body. I'm smoking a blunt, right? Who does that? A car with his name in his name. In his name. So if he's that stupid, let's just say, right, he's that stupid, he would have made way more mistakes than that, right? He would have been who cleaned up the blood? Who cleaned up the mess? You can have hazmat suits do that shit. Them blood stains ain't going nowhere like that. Now, they say he took a trip in the middle of the night somewhere that was random. And he said over there he took it. Once again, if he went through that trouble to go all the way out 2 hours, long ways away to mutilate a body, why would he leave the fucking car body in his trunk when that car is in his name? Why? Who does something? That don't make no sense to me. If I'm going to go through that trouble, why would I bring the body back with me? I'll bury it in the motherfucking desert somewhere. In the mountains somewhere. Burn the body up. Whatever, right? That motherfucker will never come back to the city. Unless in this Illuminati sacrifice. And they wanted confirmation. And the only way to confirmation is for the body to be discovered. That's the only some dark shit I can see. Now that could be some dark shit. But once again, there are multiple people involved. Multiple people involved. There's no one way this guy could do that by himself, weighing 125 pounds. That's a little nigga. And I don't know. And he's kind of zesty. He seemed kind of zesty too. And I heard him talk. He looked like, I don't know, he sounded like, I'm not saying that he didn't, I'm just saying he sounded kind of zesty. So I don't know. Let's go. Let's find it. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. This guy is crazy, right? These people are saying that this guy took this chick out and did all this shit by himself. Be a bad man. He got incredible Hulk strength. I don't know. He got to be the Incredible Hulk.
Real name David Anthony Burke has been arrested. After 7 months, the 21-year-old was taken into custody by the Los Angeles Police Department on suspicion of murder in the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And police say the arrest happened today with detectives from the LAPD's Robbery and Homicide Division taking Burke into custody. He is now being held without bail. To be clear, I mentioned this before, this is a major break in the case that has been haunting investigators for months. To be clear also, he is innocent until proven guilty. I'll talk about what this all means. But ever since September 2025, when police popped the trunk of a Tesla that was found abandoned in the Hollywood Hills and discovered the dismembered body of teenage runaway Celeste Rivas Hernandez, we have been talking about it. And as the investigation unfolded, there were even more disturbing alleged details emerged, including that parts of her body had been placed in bags inside the vehicle. And since then, there has been intense speculation, all of it centered on the singer named David, that the Tesla was reportedly his, that he and Celeste, who was that they claimed was his underage girlfriend, even though that wasn't confirmed by investigators as of yet. but you had apparent photos of the two together circulating online. Raised a lot of questions. And Burke, by the way, hasn't been seen in public since his world tour was abruptly scrapped. Hasn't said a public word about any of this. And until now, there has been no arrest. So should we, again, I have to be very clear here. Formal charges have not been filed as of yet. This is despite a grand jury having been impaneled, so it's interesting. And police say the case will be presented to the district attorney on Monday for filing consideration. So tonight, for the big questions, I want to turn right now to missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher and LA Magazine contributor Lauren Conlin. Both have been covering the story since it began. Steve, stand by. Lauren, I want to go to you. You have a few more details about the actual arrest of David, right?
Yes, Jesse, we've all been waiting for this day for a very long time. And reportedly, David was arrested at the home he was staying at in Los Angeles. Now, we don't know where that is, but as you said, he has remained silent and out of the public eye for 7 months. So again, the details we have so far are that he hasn't been booked just yet. I did call the jail. They said it usually takes about 5 hours for processing. So we will know a little bit more information as the night goes on, you know, how much his bail is going to be set for, if anything. And as you said, Blair Burke, his attorney, did just issue a statement, which is so interesting.
I'm going to read it. Let me read it real quick.
Yeah.
Here it is. Okay, so this is from his attorneys, Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter. Let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. There has been no indictment returned by any grand jury in this case and no criminal complaint filed. David, excuse me, has only been detained under suspicion. We will vigorously defend David's innocence. Actually, Steve, I want to start with you now with that. First, your reaction, because if anybody knows you, you have been quite vocal advocating for David's arrest for quite some time. But like they said, just an arrest, no charges yet. Isn't that confusing? Wasn't there a grand jury that was impaneled?
It's really confusing, and I'll tell you, I tweeted about this exact thing before that statement came out. I was surprised that this arrest was by complaint. It was not going to be sent to the DA's office to consider being charged. This is not an indictment of the grand jury. So either the grand jury would fail to return an indictment, or for some reason they didn't send it to the grand jury for an actual vote. So either one of those, I'll tell you, it worries me a little bit.
Explain to our audience why it worries you. Before you do, let me just read you. This is the statement from the LA County DA's office. Our office is aware of the arrest of David Anthony Burke by the Los Angeles Police Department. The case is expected to be presented to the Major Crimes Division, at which point prosecutors will review the facts and evidence to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to file charges. At this time, additional information is not available. We will share an update on Monday once a filing decision has been made. First, two questions to you, Steve. Were they aware that LAPD was going to arrest him? And two, why does this worry you? You're saying maybe the case is not strong?
I don't know if for sure if they were made aware. Normally in the circumstance they would be, but I don't know. Is there now a break possibly between LAPD and the DA's office on this case? It could be, because we know that there was a grand jury impaneled. We know that because the filings that the DA's office did in Texas. That was by the DA's office, so they're aware of this case. The fact that they didn't arrest him by indictment, and strategically would make sense that they go for an indictment, I guess, if they want to keep everything really private like they have done. But now it's got to go to a preliminary hearing. So I don't know if there was they couldn't come to terms, and LAPD said, listen, we're just gonna charge, we're gonna throw it out there and arrest him and see if the DA's office picks up charges or not.
Well, look, if you're right, I mean, this could have been just an investigative grand jury gathering evidence, locking in testimony. Maybe they didn't feel they could get a majority of jurors to believe that there was enough probable cause for a charge. Maybe unlikely, because, you know, a grand jury is relatively low standard. But then, like you said, maybe you go to a preliminary hearing in front of a judge, you present the evidence. Lauren, I got to go to you on this. Two parts. One, I mean, you said it, we didn't even know where David was. I mean, I didn't even know he was staying in the Hollywood Hills. That was a shocker, you know, what he was doing there. But any response from his family, any response from Neil Langston, who was his apparent friend that was arrested for allegedly not providing testimony, for not testifying in front of the grand jury. He had to be arrested and then actually brought, or reportedly brought to an LAPD, a Los Angeles courtroom to testify. Are we getting any response from third parties here?
So I did just do some digging previously after the news of his arrest. I reached out to the Burke family attorney, Kent Schaefer. I literally just got an email back from him, and this attorney was responsible for filing the writ of habeas corpus, so the family didn't have to testify and travel to Los Angeles. And I said, what do you know about this arrest? And he said, I don't know much more than you. I reached out to Josh Marshall for a statement, his manager. I have not heard back yet. And Neil Langston, I went directly to his Instagram to see if he posted anything. And his Instagram, while it still exists, it's wiped. He completely wiped it of every single photo. Previously, he had wiped it of just photos of he and David. Now it's totally gone. So, I mean,
and he was quite vocal on there, Lauren. He relatively recently, Neil Langston posted a bunch of kind of cryptic messages seemingly referring to David.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to me at this point that David, nobody wants anything to do with him. I mean, everybody is like, whoa, I'm staying away, or that's what it seems like to me. But I think the big question here is going back to what Steve said. I mean, this arrest reportedly is based on probable cause at this point. So what changed? What piece of evidence came forward now that they didn't have 7 months ago? That's what I'm asking myself.
That's fair. Steve, look, one of the reasons we don't have a lot of questions, a lot of answers, is because the medical examiner's report has been sealed. This was sealed right per the LAPD. I wonder now if there has been an arrest, is that going to be unsealed? Because if you hear his attorney saying...
And once again, this is a bully tactic. This is a bully tactic, right? They're just trying. What's up, Sugar Bum? What a sicko. But reserve, Sugar Bum. Be patient. We're going to see that there's going to be a trial. This is going all the way to trial, 100%. Hey, this is going to trial. And Ruthless is going to be there. Yeah. This is going to trial. And on trial day, I'm going to be there. This is right down the street from my house. This is the Los Angeles district. So yeah. So y'all, the truth will come out. Or maybe it won't. Who knows, right? Because sometimes the trial don't tell everything. So let's go. Because remember, everybody thought OJ was guilty. Oh, OJ did it. Oh, look at this. Look at everybody was judging OJ. Until the trial happened, then oops. They were lying. They were planting evidence. And once again, right, we cannot believe everything you hear from these law enforcement and coming out these media outlets, because a lot of this shit is corrupt. Let's go.
He's not the cause of death. What exactly was the cause of death?
So now that he's about these charges are about to be sent up to the DA for consideration, now they'll probably switch their strategy a little bit. And if that's the case, they got something in there that they think points away from David. They're going to want that unsealed, and they're going to have to unseal it anyways now, because there's going to be a prelim hearing, assuming he pleads, not guilty. So it's funny. Things are going to really now an indictment and everything would have stayed sealed. And now that's different. So we're about to, if it moves forward, we're about to see a lot, I think, which is healthy, I think, for the case.
Lauren, what about Celeste's family? I don't know if there's ever enough discussion about her family, what they've been going through, what information they have or have not been provided over the last 7 months. Have you hearing anything from them?
Yeah, I mean, my heart breaks for them, Jesse. My heart really does break for them. And initially, it was really her brother that was speaking out to the press. I don't know too much about her mother and father, except I don't think they speak very good English. I think there's a language barrier. So, they haven't really been vocal about this. I know her aunt initially was pretty vocal when she was missing. I saw a lot on Facebook, her cousin as well. But that's really all I know. I'm going to just really, again, stay on top of this as I have been, because I know, Steve, you know, we've been working together on this a lot, and we've just been waiting for this day and for the evidence to come out. I mean, everything has been so secretive, as you said, right down to the medical examiner's report. And one of the first things I did, and even though I knew it probably wouldn't be available, I started refreshing that page again because, you know, I mean, supposedly or reportedly, her cause of death was undetermined at one point because her poor little body was so badly decomposed.
Steve, at one point, when this is the last part before I have to go, Steve, remember they said they didn't even know if there was any crime beyond concealment of the body. They couldn't even determine if this was or they didn't even come out publicly and say it was a murder.
Which is baffling because that was never true, because they knew she had been dismembered when they came out with that. And that is a mutilation of a corpse. That's a felony in California, not a misdemeanor. So that was an untrue statement. So this is where I'm still very confused about what's going on here.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to stay on top of this. We will see what happens Monday and going into next week, how this progresses. I will say it again. He has been arrested. He hasn't been charged. He's innocent until proven guilty. But this is, again, a major development in a case that we've been following very closely here on this program.
Following some breaking news, the singer accused of killing that 14-year-old girl is expected to be charged today and appear in court.
Yeah, it's the story a lot of people are watching. Any minute, the DA.
All right, we should be good to go. Y'all know what to do. We're back for round 2. Rhyming accidentally. You know what I do. Eating throughout the day today and to tomorrow. But Tiffany Henyard, now that she had to go and she had to prove that she was a resident, she, interestingly enough, it's actually going to be able to run in Fulton County. She got,
and that it had changed and her values didn't match up. Also,
so once again, we have here fake ass prosecutor, fake ass police officers.
Following some breaking news.
Fake ass police officers.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the
What's going on here? Well, video shouldn't have stopped like that. So yeah, I'm going to end a stream. I'll keep you guys updated. These guys, this is crazy. But remember, have patience. Have patience. Do diligence. Let's wait. I'm gonna keep you guys updated. I'm gonna probably do it once a day until we go to trial. I'm gonna stay on top of this. I'm gonna do some more research. Come give you guys some more information. Keep you informed. Let you know what's going on. Thank you for coming. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Follow me on